All right, so we're going to talk about the state of the team, even though it's the first game of the year. First game of the year was horrible. Defensive line was non-existent. Offensive line was even worse. So, I'm going to say some things, and then you can either agree, disagree, or not care. So, the first thing I'm going to say is I believe he's already fired in regards to the coach. I don't think you can show up the first game of the year and only put up 17 points. That's just not how the world works. Maybe it does work over there. I don't know. I think he's already done. Second thing is I think that there are already talks being made about who the next coach could be. Agents are calling agents. People are calling people. Who knows? But I think that's already happening, and I think the deal is done in terms of knowing that they have to hire somebody. The third thing is I'm expecting a lot of people to transfer out by the mid-year at least, especially if they only win one game, which would be the next one. I do still have somewhat of a hope for Texas A&M, as I don't think Texas A&M's QB is very good, and I don't think their QB is good enough to win them their next game. Especially if you're going to lose at home to Notre Dame in that crowd. But, anything can happen. A lot of people are dooming, thinking that the year's already over. They're going to win like one game. And I'm just kind of like, well, they could win one game or they could win two. Just that showing just did not show or say any confidence about the improvement that has happened over the summer. So, yes, I also believe that the team is going to be much different than it is next year, I think, as we all know. I think the one thing Deion Sanders ever got right in his tenure at Colorado is stripping down a team to its roots and starting over from that way. I think it's great to always use and utilize the transfer portal, as he did, but unfortunately, setting up defenses and offenses is not something that's happening for that team, and they are wholly reliant on Shedeur Sanders, which is not a good thing. Yes, so I think that's something that's going to be happening at the end of the year. God, what else? I don't really know how would I say this? I don't know how to say anything. What am I saying? I know what I'm saying. I know what the point is what I'm saying. But I think overall what I'm saying is it's not good. It's not going to be good. I think two of the things that really showed during Billy's tenure is that he seemingly can't keep around players. Either keep players around or players don't believe in the vision or message that's happening. Because I remember during the offseason it was talked about how DJ was being recruited hard for Texas A&M, and then he comes out and says, I believe in Billy, or whatever that shit was, and I was like, okay, great. I believe in what we're trying to build, and that's great. Congratulations. I hope that you know what's happening, because I don't. No one does. And seemingly, I guess looking back on it now, it made more sense to not believe in anything that was happening, because you already had your best, I think, D lineman, Prince, leave for Ole Miss, then another guy leave for Virginia Tech. And then you had your best running back, actually, leave for your rival, Georgia. You can't really help Ricky or Anthony, because they were just off to the NFL, because why would you stay around? Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's really sad. I will not understand the idea of drafting or going after Graham Mertz. I can kind of understand it from the perspective of playing a certain God, what would you say? Scheme of offense. Like if you're playing a pro style offense, I think he might work well there. But he didn't show any improvement. I don't know, man. That was just different. That was a whole different game. I don't know what that was, but that was different. And then he gets hurt, and then as Uncle Lou calls him Graham Cracker Mertz, and that totally showed this game. He got hit, and he was done. I feel like you need to be a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger to play in the SEC, especially if you're going to be a quarterback. And the fact that he folded twice in 2 years. Maybe the first year isn't really his fault, but this one is just kind of like, come on, man. Like, you got to build some mass. I'm not take a hit. I don't know. I'm not a QB. I can't take a hit from a 500-pound lineman, but I'm just saying, if you have an entire team behind you, getting you big and strong, and you seemingly fold under pressure like that, unfortunate. Of course, it's unfortunate that it's a head injury. So hopefully he makes full recovery. And if I were him, I probably wouldn't play another snap this semester. Because it doesn't really seem like it would be doing you any good, because you would just be put back in front of that offensive line that's absolutely terrible. So, Oh, okay. And then another thing I wanted to talk about was DJ Lagway. So he was recruited. He was touted as a 5-star recruit. I think he is a 5-star recruit. I thought he was a 4-star recruit. Either way, it doesn't matter. He was recruited. He got here. He's on campus. He's doing big things, kind of. He played in the last game. He's, had some juice or whatever. He scored a TD, or helped score a TD. I don't know. Which was great. However, Bud Elliott from the Cover 3 podcast made a bet with his friend that DJ Lagway would be the head quarterback for Texas A&M starting next year, because Texas A&M recruited heavy towards DJ Lagway, and DJ still stuck with Billy, which I think is a testament to DJ's character and DJ's belief in Napier's words. Now, that either means Napier is great with words, or it means it, I don't know, it could mean a whole bunch of things, but it's an interesting thing nonetheless. Glad he stuck around. We'll see what he has for the rest of the year. Some people say if he continues to play this year, it'll ruin him. I don't really know anything about that, because he hasn't developed anything. And then RJ Young from his podcast talked about how, why would you go with Graham Mertz when you have a 5-star QB? And I think the obvious point is the 5-star QB isn't ready. I don't care how many stars he has, he's just not ready. And completely honest with you, if I am a coach and I have money, or my school has money, I'm sending my 5-star QB that's like 6'4", 135 pounds, 235 pounds, to the Patrick Mahomes camp of throwing the football and making him learn that way. Because this man's athletic, the man can throw, but seemingly putting him in a spot of like whatever the hell that was, it was just not good. Feel bad for DJ. Hopefully he does well. Hopefully the rest of the team does well. That right tackle, I think it was, got absolutely blown up during the entire game, so that's not good. I don't know who you have behind him, but hopefully it's somebody who can actually block, because it just gets tougher from here. I think his RAS score, Pro Football Focus had him at a 0 for this last game, which is like, what the fuck? It was 0, bro. You're on scholarship? What? But yeah, not good. Maybe he was hurt, maybe he wasn't. I don't know. It doesn't matter. In a league filled with line of scrimmage talk and line of scrimmage being the main point of the game, and you having none of it is a big testament to your coaching ability and what you've noticed from season to season. Some people say he should have been fired after the Arkansas game last year. I was kind of on the edge of like, well, coaches have bad games year 1 and year 2. What was it? What was his name? Mike Norvell, FSU coach. I think he lost to Jacksonville State. His second year, third year? I don't remember. Pretty embarrassingly, actually. Well, it's actually not even embarrassingly. I think it was kind of on like the last play of the game. So that's really not that embarrassing. I guess it was more embarrassing that the offense of Jacksonville State to hang around that long. But either who, whatever. Yeah, so I just didn't really think the Arkansas loss was that big of a deal. I mean, it sucked to lose, but it was also just like, well, maybe he'll learn from this and he'll move on. But then I completely forgot, didn't really realize, he doesn't have an offensive coordinator on this team. He doesn't have a special teams coach. He has 2 defensive coordinators, and seemingly this is the product on the field. Not good. Especially when you lose to both your rivals within the time span of like 12 months. Horrible. You lost to FSU last year, and then you lost to Miami at the beginning of the year. That is like literally, That's not good. Like, you can't recruit in the state of Florida with those 2 losses on your resume. In Florida State, that is, I don't know. I think last year, wasn't that a down year for FSU? Maybe not. I can't remember. I know they lost a quarterback before our game, but still, we're just kind of shitty. Anything else I want to talk about? Anything else at all? I guess the last point is people saying not only just fire the coach, but also fire the AD, Scott Strickland, because his last 3 hires have been duds. I will say that the Dan Mullen hire was not much of a dud, as it was more of a keeping up with the Kardashians sort of thing. Like, someone should have told him, whether it be Strickland or somebody else, that he has to recruit or he's out. But also there was the issue of him possibly getting a coordinator job in the NFL, him not getting it, and then him seemingly giving up for the rest of that year, or that upcoming year. I don't know anything about that. Maybe not, maybe I do. But what I do know is that it was pretty apparent that the team on Dan Mullen's last year was like not knowing what the fuck was going on and just kind of did whatever. It kind of sucks because Dan Mullen was he won with, like, he was able to win with some, like, not good players, I guess. I don't know if they're players or not. I don't want to say they're not good because, like, I feel like every player is, like, good, but just he was able to win with non-SEC caliber players. That's how I'm going to point it from now on, because I think that's a better way of saying it rather than saying that they're not good, because obviously they're good or else they wouldn't be at that level. But SEC caliber, who knows? That could be debated. Anywho, it also doesn't help that, like, you had players switch out who were not SEC caliber but also not even starting and just decided to, like, I'm going to go play somewhere else. That's not good. I don't think that's good at all. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just really sad. It just sucks. How do I think the season's going to turn out for the rest of the year? I predicted they started out 3-0. Obviously, that's not happening. More likely it's going to be 1-3, but I still hold out hope that the next 2 games are going to be, like, ass-kicking games for them. Like, oh my God, we suck dick. We cannot suck like that ever again. So, I think they're going to win against Samford. Decidingly, I don't know. I wouldn't bet the over or under on that game because at this point, who knows what to expect. And then I think the Texas A&M game, could still be a loss. However, I don't know. Like they have no receivers. Not Texas A&M. Florida has no receivers. They have Eugene Wilson, and that's like the best you're gonna get. Otherwise, you have Shamir DK, and then you have Badger, and then I don't even know who else. I could have sworn Douglas was an offensive player last semester or last year, but I don't know. Maybe not. So ultimately, it's just going to be huge. It's going to be a huge overhaul of the team. People are suggesting that Lane Kiffin might want the job. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's happening. However, it is better to live in Florida than it is to live in Mississippi. And I don't know. I've never lived in Mississippi. Hell, I've never been there. There was an old joke about, hey, at least we're Alabama, because Alabama and Mississippi are like ranked the 2 last states in America in terms of like living or whatever. I don't fucking know. But anyway, I would assume that the team is not going to do super well. I would also assume that by the time we get to UCF, we're going to have a new coach or an interim coach. I'll also assume that there would be no, like, we're not going to win any recruiting battles this year, especially when it comes to in-state people, because it's like, why would I go to you when you just lost to 2 of the most historically silly teams? I'm still holding out hope for the UCF game. If you win UCF, I think that'll be great. But, yeah. Ideals for coaching hires. Everyone's pointing out Lane Kiffin, as I said before. Other people pointing out other people as well. But I think this is my hope. My hope is that Urban Meyer comes back for another 10 years and says, you know what? I'm the coach. Why would he do that? I don't know. But what would make him do that is probably a Nick Saban-like effect in the University Sports Complex over there. When Nick Saban went to Alabama, he apparently requested a lot of different things happening. He requested that he wanted his things his way. He wanted to hire his people. And he got it. And look what happened. They ended up winning a bunch of stuff, and it all worked. And I think Urban Meyer could probably do and request the same thing, because he is pretty good as a coach, regardless of what you think of him personally. And Hugh Freeze can be hired as an Auburn coach, and he was fired for buying players and prostitution at Ole Miss. Like, I feel like you can probably look past Urban Meyer's like douchiness at the most. I mean, yeah, there's the question of like, what do you want your program to be about or whatever, but it's also like, I don't know. Would you rather have a losing program or a winning program? I don't know. Me, I'd probably have a winning program, and I would probably hire Urban Meyer if it was the last thing I needed to do. So I really don't think there's any other coach in the country that could really take on this task of stripping, rebuilding, and then getting it to an above 500 team within 3 years. Brian Kelly wanted to do it, but Scott Strickland did not pick up the phone to his agent, and that's really stupid. I don't care what you think about Brian Kelly. I think you need to look at the school he was coaching at, which was Notre Dame. They had rules, they had regulations in terms of the type of player you could bring in, grades, all this other stuff. You can't really compete with Alabama at that point. But now they're probably a little bit different in how they approach the game, because they obviously just beat Texas A&M, and they got some players. Either that or the players that have good grades are also good football players. So who knows? Yeah. Anywho, this is a 17-minute video. I've been filming long enough. I think this is gonna be it. Yeah, I'll have a review of week 2 on Saturday, whenever it is. All right. Goodbye. Have fun.